Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirits. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium. Thank you once again for tuning in for another action-packed show this week. I do hope you're all keeping well and you're keeping in alignment and balance with your soul's purpose. And today's show we're in for a little bit of a treat because we're going to be diving deep in the subject matter of choices. We've also got this week's channeling from Spirit, which sees me becoming a vessel in order for Spirit to bring their wisdom and communication through. And then later on in the show, we do have your weekly energy forecast reading for this week. So hopefully that will help you navigate your way through this week. But without further ado, we'll crack on with this week's show. And as I say, we're talking about choices. Now, no matter who you are, where you are in the world, what you do, we all have to go through this process of making a decision, making a choice. But what I'd like to pose several questions to you today, one of them being, what makes us have choices? What makes us choose them? And well, there's several questions, so let's go through each one of them. So we all have choices to make, basically, don't we? No matter what we're doing in our lives. And we have certain ways that we make choices. Everybody has their own techniques, but I'd like to share with you techniques during this chat that I employ in order to make a choice. But how do we make them? What are our influences when making a choice? So let's take one thing at a time, shall we? So what are our influences? So obviously we're bombarded by news bulletins, we're bombarded by films, radio, music, conversations that we have with people. We're influenced by social media as well. We also have influences from nature as well. There's lots of interesting factors to, when we unpick it, to see where our choices are coming from, our influences. So with this being said, it's good to have a firm understanding what we like, what we don't like, and then that will start and unfold a pattern, so to speak. So how do we make our choices? Most of us are thinking from it's either this way or that way. What's this way or what is that way? And we base this upon the things that we like and that we don't like as well. But there are all other factors to consider. Some of us make a choice based upon, is it a win-win scenario? So do they benefit? Does that party benefit? Do I benefit? Does everybody benefit? And then when everybody benefits, then that would be a great choice to make. Some of us do it that way. Other people use their emotions, their feelings. Other people look at things analytically and, shall we say, pair one thing off against the other. Many people use lists, writing things down, and maybe putting a plus sign at the top of one of the columns of a piece of paper, and then the right-hand side column, they'll put a minus sign, obviously indicating positive and negative. And when they have a choice to make, they'll write down what they consider to be the positive situation in that choice to make and the negative situation in that choice to make. And then they will play each one off of one another until they arrive at the strongest answer to make their choice. So there's many techniques we can employ in order to make a choice within our life. But there's one particular choice that I employ, and this is, how do I feel? So how does something feel? Rather than tackling something with the rational mind and pulling it apart, I'll think of the situation where I have to make a decision, a choice, And then I'll just sit with that for a moment and I'll visualize it in my mind. I'll run the information through my head. And at the same time, I'm observing my physical body and how I'm feeling on an emotional level when I'm contemplating those things. And I'm just observing those nuances that I'm feeling within myself. And based upon those feelings, for example, if I notice that my arms, my legs, and my general body feels tense, it's in that fight or flight mode. So to me, that is saying that it's getting ready for battle and it's tight and that there's something wrong with that choice and it's possibly not the right choice for me to make. Whereas if I'm feeling really relaxed, comfortable, I'm feeling that sense of love and freedom in my heart, and I'm just feeling really, really grateful to be in that moment, then obviously that would be the right decision, the right choice to make in that situation. So I employ that technique. Also, as I mentioned earlier, going beyond that technique and using the rational mind, what I like to do is if something benefits everybody and there's, where everybody is equal in a situation, then to me, that is a good way of making a decision, so that there's nobody greater than the other party. Everybody benefits from that choice that you're about to make, or at least consider. So both of those techniques are things that I use. And so knowing what is right for us for a start as well. So like I said, the method I described, where the feelings and tapping into the feelings, well, obviously only we know what makes us feel good, what makes us feel uncomfortable. And so based upon those decisions, generally speaking, we can tap into the right decision. And usually you'll find it's the path of least resistance. So when you make a choice or a decision and then there's another roadblock that comes straight after it, that's giving you that opportunity that you can actually make another choice and move out of that situation, or you can proceed forward going over that roadblock. But they're like pausing blocks, as I like to call them, giving you that opportunity to tap in, tune in with yourself, and again, realign with that energy of that choice to see again if it's the right decision that is needed for you at that moment in time. But speaking of time, as we've spoken many times on here before, that there are multiple versions of ourself all happening at the same time in the now moment. And with this being the case, when we are faced with a decision to make a choice, we're literally connecting to a different energetic frequency of ourself, a fractal of ourself. And we're deciding to walk in the shoes of that fractal of ourself. Now, with this being the case, our previous timeline is still happening because there is no time, it's all happening now. And so when we make a decision, we have that opportunity to flip between other versions of ourselves, and we can to and fro in this method in order to get to our destination on our soul path. But with this in mind, we have the choice in any one moment to go from one fractal of ourself to the other fractal of ourself. And I've got to say that everybody that's listening to this, or who isn't, or anybody in the world, we're all one choice away from creating a new timeline in our life. Now, by doing this, as I say, the other versions of ourselves continue to exist, but we're one thought away from changing our present moment reality into something that feels better, something that aligns with us in that moment. Maybe it's a contribution from the influences that we've been under at that moment in time that's forcing us to make a choice, a decision that again is going to shift us into a new timeline and allow us to create a new reality for ourselves in that present moment. So there's many things to consider about choices, and I find it fascinating how different individuals arrive at their choice, their different decision-making processes, and what influenced them to think that, what influenced them to feel that in order to maybe to progress on their career or their family life, whatever gave them that intuition. I mean, we talk about the animal kingdom, don't we? And it is known that the animal kingdom work from their instincts. You know, they just are, they just exist, it just happens. They don't really think about it too much. They just kind of move with it, react with it, and flow with it. Now, with this being the case, obviously as human beings, we're a little bit more complex than that, but I would like to see more people being like animals, if you know what I mean. Having that, trusting their instincts, going with that gut feeling rather than overthinking, because I feel as though we've reached a point where the thinking mind is taking over, and it's influencing us to make some poor decisions, and we're finding ourselves in bits. We're finding ourselves not where we need to be and feeling small, because we've overthought and because we've allowed outside influences to infiltrate our true decision-making. Just like the animal kingdom, they trust their intuition, they trust their instincts, and they just go and they adopt and they adapt and they evolve because of that. So yeah, I'd like to see us as human beings maybe looking towards the animal kingdom for that wisdom, that inspiration, so that we can tap into our true essence and do the very same. But as you know, when we make a choice, a decision, it does have a knock-on effect, doesn't it? You know, because it will affect others. So even if it's the smallest decision of maybe, for example, I don't know, changing your job. Changing your job can have a knock-on effect with your family, your friends, your social life. It can have an impact on your finances, which would dictate your level of freedom of choice to do what you want, where you go, and the time that's allocated for you to do that. So all these things, even the clothes that you wear, due to the finances of taking a new job, if the budget is there, then you can get whatever you want. If it isn't there, then that's going to obviously lead you to make another choice where you will have to maybe compromise your style, compromise your lifestyle as well. So just by making that choice of accepting a job can change not only your life, but the lives of others. It can determine, you know, what you eat in a week as a family. It can determine if you have the heating on or not, if you drive a car or not. It all has a knock-on effect. So something as important as making a decision, I feel, shouldn't be rushed, shouldn't be taken lightly. And if anybody puts you in a position where you feel under pressure that you've got to make a decision right then, right now, then I feel that you need to just take a step back from that situation and connect in with yourself and trust the feelings that you're getting. Remember me saying about the animal kingdom, they trust their instincts and they trust their intuition. So because we're bombarded with media, we're bombarded with other people's choices and influences, we need to just take a step back out of that so that we can reconnect in with the truth of who we are in order to make that decision. Because decisions are important, choices are important, and they have a knock-on effect, as we say, in other people's lives. So having that time out will allow you to do that. But learning to love your soul, because our soul has the greatest perspective, and our soul, our higher self, will bring forward that wisdom when we take that time out to observe, to feel. Remember me saying that to observe the thoughts, the decisions you've got to make in your mind, and then just observe how you feel in your body. Trust your instincts and just be aware of any subtle changes as you do that, because this will be more of a fruitful decision then when you make a decision, and it will help you to consider the greater good for one and all whilst you're doing this. Whereas if you were to make a snap decision in the moment, it could have the potential to have dire consequences, and you would have wished that you hadn't have rushed into it. So there's a lot of emphasis on making choices, and if we roll it back right to its origin, shall we say, our higher self, what feels right, what doesn't feel right, then that will keep us on an even keel, so to speak. But moving beyond the mind and allowing our heart to lead, following the influence from our higher self, I would certainly encourage you all to do that, because our heart knows best. It has an intelligence like nothing else. I know we just think that our heart, it beats, it does beat, and it does provide us with life, and it provides us with energy and things of that nature. But on an energetic level, through the heart chakra, we can obtain that wisdom, that knowledge, that information that we came here with. But because of our minds kept distracted, it's kept busy, we've forgotten to tap into that and trust the wisdom that it is providing us. It's almost like, this is the way I see the heart, a satellite navigational system, and it will take us where we need to go. And so when we trust those little nuances that we're feeling and allow ourselves to flow with that energy state, it will take us to where we need to be. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to share an example or a few examples with you where I actually employed some of these techniques that I'm speaking of in order to make choices. I do feel that some of these choices were predetermined by my higher self, and the fact that I was just trusting my heart whilst in that process allowed me to flow with them. So the example I'd like to share with you, many years ago now, unfortunately, I had a minor car accident where I was driving back, and I was driving back home, and I went to take a corner, and the steering wheel in the car, it locked in that corner position, which led me to move on over into the other side of the road. And there was oncoming traffic on the other side of the road. So at that moment, I yanked the steering wheel to try and snap it back into its needed position to stay on that left-hand side. And in doing so, it made the car swerve because it oversteered. It corrected the steering, but then oversteered. And it made the car go up a curve and hit a wall. Luckily enough, no one was harmed. Other than the brick wall had to be repaired. I was a little bit shell-shocked. I believe you call it whiplash. I was experiencing a bit of that. I was shaking. So I was a little bit concerned at that moment in time. I was all right physically. It was just the nerves of it and the adrenaline rush afterwards. But anyway, the reason why I mention this is this situation led me to take time off of the job that I was working in at that moment in time. And that particular job was, I would say, it was office work and it wasn't feeling right. I remember going into that job every single day and I would have a tummy upset. I would feel that negative energy in that environment. I would be rushing to the toilet for obvious reasons. And it wasn't feeling right. You was encouraged in that job to, shall we say, tell white lies in order to benefit the company. And that didn't sit right with me at all, even though you were being told and you were being trained that way. To me, I didn't operate that way, and it didn't sit right either with the company. So anyway, this led for me taking time off work due to the whiplash. So I did that. I got myself back on track, got the nerves back on track and everything. And In that time process, I took it upon myself to, I always had an interest in music and music production, as you've probably heard on this show before. So I took it upon myself to learn how to use computers and to learn how to use them in conjunction with music production. So I got myself some software. I was watching online videos. This is in the infancy of YouTube when it first started. But I was watching a lot of CD-ROM videos that came with Computer Music Magazine and things of that nature to help me understand what audio production was, how to do it, and how to do it for myself. So in that time where I wasn't at work, I wasn't just sitting around, I was using it constructively, learning the craft, learning how to record and produce. So I was doing that. Unfortunately, after a period of time, I was let go of by the company because they were evolving and I was evolving and moving in a different circle there. So that took place, which then led me to, again, pursue audio production. It brought many opportunities my way, but also it allowed me to get another job, like a regular job. And this regular job helped me to have a more secure income. It felt very comfortable to be in that job role. It was something I could do very easily. I enjoyed it. I knew the people there. So it felt very natural, which this in turn had a knock-on effect, which allowed me to make other choices. So with that being the case, there was the choice there. I became a married man. We then had the choice, and we made the choice to move home and start a family. So that led to owning a new house, which led to us deciding and choosing to have a recording studio built in the premises, which we did successfully. And we had many clients and recordings taking place in there. But also, it allowed us to feel more sort of comfortable in our environment. I would say I'm talking about the ex-wife now. We're not married anymore and everything's fine. We're all okay with one another. But it allowed us to make these choices, and it allowed us to make the choice to start a family, which again, I'm very grateful for, because I have 2 older daughters now. They're 2 teenage daughters, and they are literally the light in my life. I really do appreciate everything that they are and what they do and what lessons they bring to me every day as well. And so with starting a family, obviously you have other choices to make that has an impact not only on yourself, but your family, your children, the environment you live in. And so why I tell this story of my past to you is just to show you the fact that when we make a choice, so obviously going back to what I've said, the car accident, I could have sat around moping. I made the choice not to do that. I made the choice to use that time constructively while I healed. And I did that to learn production, audio production, which then led me to make other choices, to accept an offer of work, which then led me to make another choice, to get married. Do you see where we're going with this? And all of these choices were made, I would say. Some of them, I'll be honest with you, were snap decisions. Others were trusting the feeling and what is the best case scenario for everybody involved. So there's a combination of techniques that I employed in order to make these choices to you, that I'm describing to you. But all of them had life-changing consequences, not only for me, but the family at the time, the location, the people I worked with, the people I interact with, and all because I was conscious and I made this choice and I trusted the intuition there, and I stuck to my guns in many respects with these decisions. And that is something that a lot of people, and I'm not judging by saying this, but a lot of people are highly influenced by others, and they allow others to manipulate them to such a degree that they follow suit. I've been in that situation myself over the years. So, I'm not just speaking about other people, I'm speaking about myself. And that's because you let your guard down. That's because you let a part of your energy go to somebody else, rather than taking that responsibility, that ownership of your energy, tapping in to the feelings that you're feeling when choices need to be made, and sticking to your ground there. And obviously you have to compromise with some decisions you make when obviously family is concerned, location, jobs, and all of that. Of course you do. But predominantly, it always lies with you. You have to make that decision. You have to stick with it. And so with this being the case, going back to what we're saying on today's show, it is important that you don't make reactory decisions. You go inwardly, you feel, and you experience it before committing. And then that way you'll have more of an understanding of how your life can start to flow a lot more easily on your timeline within your life, on your soul path. So listening to me, what helped me go through my life, I would say over the last sort of 13 years, was the fact that I trusted implicitly the guidance from my spirit guides and helpers there. They never tell you what to do. They never tell you to make a choice. But what they will do is they will present you with, shall we say, options. They will show you the scenarios. They will put those feelings in and around you so that you can make more of a just decision rather than reacting. And this is what my guides did. They encouraged me. They placed things in front of me so that I could make a more positive decision. And then they kept me on my path, my spiritual journey to where I am now. And so we're talking about the work that I do, working with spirit and helping people, educating people with the help of my guides, listening to their guidance, and just me simply being in alignment with their vibration and being open to be that transmitter, receiver of that information. So for me, it's not me that's doing the work. I'm allowing that process to flow through me. I'm obviously responsible for the work, so I have a role in it, but I'm making that choice. I'm allowing myself to blend with spiritual energy and to be that transmitter and receiver for it. Obviously, I make the choice to do that. I make the choice to carry on doing and walking on this pathway because it feels right, it feels just, and everybody benefits from me doing that. And it just feels so in alignment with my soul path. So I'm forever grateful for my spiritual guides and helpers and the influence and influences that they provide me on a daily basis where choices are concerned. Like I say, they give me those options. They show me examples. They put the feelings around me. I trust my higher self and my intuition when making these feelings matter in order for me to make choices. So I hope this little bit of a conversation, albeit a little rambled one, has at least given you that food for thought to consider just taking that time out before reacting and making a quick decision. Because it will have an impact on not only your life, but the life around you as well. Well, now we're moving into the next segment of the show, which is the channeling from Spirit for this week, which sees me becoming a vessel for Spirit to communicate their information through. Now, I love this part of the show because I never know what's going to come through until I listen back to it. And so I find it fascinating, I'm sure, as much as you do. So if you notice my voice changing, it's simply because the communicator's adjusting my frequency to match theirs. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's channeling from Spirit.
Hello. We just thought we'd come through and explain a few things, because at the moment there's some substantial changes going in your dimension, and you will all encounter seeing energy, experiencing what you would consider to be spirit beings, and elementals and all manner of different frequencies. You're all going to experience that. Simply because everything's changing. You become increasingly more sensitive and more open to experiencing these encounters. Even the most skeptical of you will have at least one experience where you will be able to be open to understand that what you've seen wasn't there in your reality. But with all this occurring around you, you'll notice that you'll all be increasingly more sensitive and more high vibrational as a species. You'll have a sense of empathy and, shall we say, you'll have an understanding between all of you, where before there was a closed-off door that partitioned you and this interaction with you. So with all this occurring, you'll also experience, like we say, interactions from the world of spirit. Excuse me, my voice is changing a little bit more as another communicator coming through like that. That's better, we can come through a little bit better. Hope you didn't mind that transition, but we had to come through. Well, yeah, anyway, there's a lot about to occur for all of you. As we were alluding to say, yeah, you're going to experience what you would call spooks or, spiritual beings in and around your household. Now, already it's happening a lot, and you'll see in public places lots of gold twinkling and blue and also turquoise and purple lights, almost looking like fairy lights, if that makes sense. And you'll see them and you'll be rubbing your eyes thinking, oh, it's a bit of dust, it's something in the atmosphere. And as you're talking to people, you'll see these twinkling lights around them. Well, this is part of their soul group, soul team coming in around them. You'll see them quite clearly, as we say. So watch out for that. Now, a lot of you will be talking to one another, and what's just happened now to the communicator, you'll be talking the next minute, all this information will be blurting out your mouth, and you'll have no recollection of saying it. And you'll be amazed as the other people that's listening to you having this conversation, and you'll think, well, I didn't think of that. Where's that bleeding come from? And all we say to you is, well, you're all becoming vessels for us to communicate through you. So obviously, we're going to take that opportunity. If it means heightening your vibration, the vibration of those people around you, we're going to take that opportunity and come through, aren't we? Now, a lot's going to go off, obviously, and we keep alluding to that. We keep telling you about it. We're just preparing you for these ultimate splits in your society coming in. Now, these splits will be somewhat distressful for some, and for others, it will just be a case of a seamless transition. But whichever pathway you chose to walk on, it will be very noticeable to you. Now, there's going to be people around you that will be pointing the finger at one another. And there's a lot of ego that's coming out to the surface. And that's not a pleasant sight when you see it. So, if you are unfortunate to witness that, we ask you, those of you that are listening that are sensitive, to move yourself away from that energy, as it will simply just stick to you. And you don't need that. Just allow those characters with that sense of self-importance to go about their own business. They'll find that they'll gradually burn themselves out and they won't have any fire in their belly left because they've overshot, so to speak, with their ego mind. With this being said, there's a lot of lessons coming in. For those of you that are sensitive, it's going to be, shall we say, lower bass frequencies that are going to try and infiltrate you and come through you in order to kick you off your path of the light. So just have your guard up, be ready and tell it to bugger off. Excuse my language, but tell it to do that. When you're aware of the vibration, keep yourself also and your environment, including your home and your workspace, keep it sacred, keep it healed, plenty of intentional healing, cleansing within the property, including doing smudging with white sage, sound healing if you've got it. If you haven't got it, then you can play any form of music that aligns with you and that makes you feel happy. Because when you feel happy, you'll emit those vibrations of love and light into that environment. So that will keep that environment buoyant, you see, and it will stop any undesirables coming in. Because, as you know, anything that's lower vibration, it feels very uncomfortable with that of a higher vibration in that, so shall we say, environment. So as long as you're keeping things high and alert and in love and light and a lot of laughter, and you're going to be all right. But if you are finding that some of these entities, if you like, try and make their way through the back door, then it is your responsibility to make sure that energy within that environment is safe and is healed and protected. And you can do this by doing intentional work, lots of intentional prayers, calling out affirmations into the environment. But it's no good just saying it. You got to bloody mean it, ain't you? You got to put a bit of oomph behind it, and you've got to feel it, believe it, and project it into that environment. When you do that, you'll notice that environment will just feel so comfortable, so relaxed, yet so vibrant with the energy, and it will just feel like a privilege to be in that environment. Time will just fly by really quickly, and you'll feel all of those things, and things are vibrational in that environment that you're in. When it is starting to wane and go the other way, a lower based, or shall we say, an attachment of some form, you will find that you'll feel that little bit of tightening in your solar plexus around your stomach area. You'll find your guts going gurgling and making ridiculous noises. You'll also feel all your muscles feeling tight, and you're feeling on edge, a little bit paranoid. And then finally you'll feel like your head is being placed inside a vice with the amount of pressure that's been applied to it. So if you do feel like that is a bit of a sign for you. Hello, come on, let's sort this out. Let's have this cleaned. And all it takes really is a few positive affirmational words with a bit of welly behind them, and that vibration will shift very quickly. It can be from anything from a 5-minute job to a 3-hour job. It depends upon you. It depends upon the situation and all of the variables that need to be neutralized in order for that environment to feel a little bit more aligned and coming from true and love and light. So just be wary of that, okay? What we want to say, though, is you'll find that relatively soon, when you're going to hear this transmission go out, you'll notice there'll be a few changes in the food that you're eating. Now, you'll make sure that you're having food that's going to give you that sustenance, give you that energy, and help you to project your, shall we say, you on your pathway forward. Now, with this being the case, some of those foods you won't like because they won't taste the best. Let's be honest, they won't taste the best. But the vitamin content and the mineral content in them, my goodness, it's going to do you the power of good. And instantly you'll recognise a difference in your demeanour, and you'll be so pleased that you've boosted it. So watch out for that. Now also, we want to tell you a little bit of something else, that you're all obviously intelligent beings, yet some of you doubt that intelligence that you came here with. You're going to go through a period of time where you're going to have that sort of to-ing and fro-ing between the real you, your higher vibrational self, and shall we say, the human mind, and the human mind wants to always argue the fact that it's bloody right all the time. Where the higher self, it just is. He has no time to argument. He doesn't need to argue what's right and what's wrong. It just is. You see, there's the difference. The human mind will argue all day long. That is part of the ego mind. So you'll find yourself, no matter whether you're spiritual, whether you're not, whatever your persuasion is, you'll all be going through this toing and froing, this little bit of tussling around in the mind and with the higher self. What is right and what is wrong? What we simply say is you just feel and allow and let the information flow through you. And in doing so, you'll notice that there's a substantial change between, like we say, the true you, the higher self, and the physical mind. There's a massive, substantial difference. With this being the case, you'll all witness that. And you'll make the necessary tweaks and adjustments, and you'll do all that as you so see fit. So just be aware of it. Well, I've said quite a lot, so I'm going to go in a minute, but there is somebody that's coming through that's wanting to bring a little bit of something for you. So just be open to it, and just listen with your soul, and you won't go far wrong with listening to this. So thanks for now. We'll be in touch very soon. God bless and take care.
Well, there's quite a lot of things coming through in this transmission, but one of the final things we want to bring forward for you is a little bit of sound healing, a little bit of toning for you, just to get you ready for all of these things that we've spoke of today, just to get you vibrationally in alignment with them. So listen to the sound healing that's coming through and absorb the frequencies, as they will help you stay in a constant flow of expansion. Here's your sound healing right here, right now.
What a fantastic transmission there from the world of spirit. I really enjoyed the information that was shared with us. Interesting to hear about the energy shifts are changing. And because of that, we're all going to be susceptible or open to witnessing and experiencing the world of what we call the paranormal. So seeing such things as spirits, the lights, and the elemental realm is going to be more prominent now. According to what those communicators have said, which is fascinating. Finally, people are going to start and accept these experiences for the normal, which for most of us, it is normal, isn't it? So it was nice to hear that confirmation there. Also, more sensitive, being more sensitive, picking up on other people's vibrations and making sure that we have our protection up around us because of this, because the nature of society is going to change. And that was interesting to hear about those splits in society. Obviously, most of us that are sensitive have been witnessing this for quite some time now, but by the sounds of things, by spirit, it sounds as though it's going to become predominantly very obvious now, more so than ever. And just to make sure that we're keeping our guard up and our protection up because of this, because of that lower base vibrational frequency being around us because it's got nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. It has to come out to the surface. So those of us that are sensitive, we just got to be prepared and ready for that. So it was nice to have that heads up, so to speak, from that communicator. And also, I found it absolutely fascinating with the sound healing at the end of that transmission there. I don't know about anybody else, but this was the first time I've listened back to this. And I found it very revealing, very healing indeed. What I did experience is I felt chills from my head right down to my feet. And to me, it felt like it was a flush through of energies, old energies being taken out the soles of my feet. I did feel my chakras being cleansed, and I'm talking about, from the head to the toe. I felt that vibrational cleansing, that vibrational healing. And as a result of that, I felt a lot lighter within myself. So the removal of energy blocks that were somehow sticking to the chakras or stopping in some way, I certainly experienced that, having listened to that sound healing for the very first time. So I'm absolutely blown away by the efforts that Spirit have made in that communication today. I don't know what your thoughts are and what your experience is in terms of hearing that information and also experiencing that sound healing treatment there at the end, albeit very brief. I certainly did feel it, and I feel a lot more supercharged, energetically speaking, as a result of experiencing that. So maybe if you are brave enough and you're wanting to share your encounter with this week's communication from Spirit, then please do get in touch. It'd be wonderful to hear from you about how that affected you in some way. Anyway, we're going to be moving on to the next segment of the show, which is your weekly forecast reading for this week. So this is designed to help you navigate your way through the course of this week, all the twists and turns, energetically speaking, all the ins and outs, giving you that heads up ahead of time, actually. So I hope that this resonates with you on some level and does help you in some way throughout the course of your week this week. So sit back, relax, have a pen and paper ready if you wish to take notes, and enjoy this week's energy forecast reading. Hello, my name is Glenn Boddice and I'm a spiritual medium, and welcome to this week's energy forecast reading for Monday, the 3rd of April 2023. Now, those of you that watched me work before will know that I connect with my spirit guides and helpers and consult the wisdom of the angel tarot cards. So I'm just shuffling the cards now, and I'm going to allow a card to come out at random for this week's energy forecast reading. Wow, they're very stubborn today, so there we go, we've got a card. So this is your card for this week's energy forecast reading. I'm now going to link into the energy of this card to bring forward the additional information for you. First of all, I'm being told that this week is going to be a very productive one for you, as you'll be going through the start of a very influential process where you're going to get a lot of, shall we say, opportunities come to you this week. And with this being said, you will have to learn to let go of the old version of yourself in order to accept these new opportunities coming in. Where you once would have said no out of fear of trying something different, something new, moving outside of your comfort zone. Instead, this week will see you saying a very confident yes. And so with this in mind, you're going to open new doors in terms of your life and on your life path. With this being said, though, through the course of this week, there's also going to be changes in terms of your energy. And what I'm referring to there, simply what you once invested your time and energy into is now you're going to feel as though that's going to feel like it's draining you. So with this being the case, you'll have, shall we say, a greater understanding of what to invest your energy into and what to subtract your energy from and take that time out and have that rest. There's going to be a lot of ideas percolating in your mind this week as well. And I'm being told for you not to get ahead of yourself because of the opportunities, no matter how big or small, that are coming in. Your mind will naturally try and create something bigger, better than it actually is in that moment in time. So just take things one step at a time, enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, and the universe will deliver the right things for you at the right time. With this being said, this week it will also offer you the opportunity to communicate more clearly with those around you. You'll just find yourself blurting out sentences, blurting out information that perhaps before you kept to yourself, kept quite private. And because you're opening up on an energetic level, you feel more comfortable and confident within yourself to talk about these things with people. And with this being the case, you'll find yourself feeling a lot more comfortable in your own skin, and you'll be glad that you did do this. As again, this will open new doors of opportunity. More people will have more of an appreciation of you for doing it, and they'll have a greater understanding of you and how you behave the way that you behave, because you're just going to be more open with them. So let's turn over the card. So here's your card for this week. At the top there it says Queen of Fire. So first of all, I want to talk about the divine feminine within yourself, the sensitive side of yourself. This is going to be very domineering this week, as you'll be picking up other people's vibrations, and you need to sift through these energy and vibrations in order to calculate what is your energy and what is somebody else's. Also, it's telling you to sit in the seat of your own power. So in other words, take charge, take responsibility of who you are, but trust your feminine intuition, whether you're male, whether you're female, to guide you through this process. Now, fire to me represents new beginnings. It represents healing, light, warmth, passion as well. So watch out for these qualities as your week starts to unfold. At the bottom of the card, it reads intelligent, exuberant, and determined. With all of these qualities, I feel as though you're getting to know the true self again, and you're accepting you for who you are. And because you're accepting it, you're going to share this part of you with others, like we've previously said. And other people will recognize this shift in you. They'll say, oh, you've changed a little bit. But in actual fact, you haven't changed. You've just removed those barriers that have been stopping you from expressing the true version of yourself out into the world. Well, now you've got that confidence. Now it's a new month, and now you'll feel that it's the right time for you to just be your true, authentic self as well. But being determined, this is like, I feel, is telling you not to give in, to keep on going, despite the roadblocks that are presented to you. Now, to some people, these roadblocks will appear huge, and to others, they'll just seem like minuscule in comparison. I mean, it's all down to perception and perceptive. I can't get the words out. It's all down to your perception, really, in a nutshell. So how you're seeing the greater picture, how you're seeing things unfold. And it's on a personal level. But with this being said, you're going to have a wonderful, really expansive week. So let's take a look into the artwork. Around the edge of the card, we've got this beautiful colour of red down the sides, moving into orange there, the top and the bottom. So red would indicate you being more present, appreciating things for what you have in the here and now. Also grounding your energy as well. So you will feel like you're going into a dream world now and again this week. When that does happen, stamp your feet, focus on all of your senses, and bring yourself into your now moment, because that's where you can ultimately make your most important and influencing decisions. Also, I feel as though the orange represents the energy that's coming into you this week, a new frequency of energy. Instead of resisting change, you are to follow that energy as it's pulling you towards it, and just simply go with the flow, and notice how life will start to begin to serve you once you're more open to it and you're going with that flow a little bit more. So let's take a look into the artwork. We've got this divine feminine there that's resting. She's sat on a seat there. Some would say sitting in the seat of her own power. She's looking rather relaxed. Again, it's talking about the divine feminine within you, the divine sensitivity, and not rushing things, trusting that sensitivity to guide you at the right place at the right time with the right people. And by resting and observing, life will start to serve you rather than you chasing and having that fear-based energy in your heart, in your soul, that this hasn't happened yet, I need to be here on this time, that's not going to serve you. Instead, this week, you've just got to sit back, relax, observe, and know when to strike when the iron is hot, so to speak. So in other words, when that opportunity is there, start and say yes to it. As you can see, she's holding a staff there, so that would indicate as well that you are supported this week. And there's angelic wings on that staff there. So that would indicate that the angelic realm is around you, is stitching all the opportunities, all the moments that will serve you in your life towards you, and they've got your back. So don't have any fears with this week. I know we're moving into a new month, but you should start to feel that enthusiasm, that excitement as it starts to unfold there. As you can see, she's looking off into the distance, so that would indicate that you need to focus a little bit more this week, and don't let your daydreams take you off target. So like the card suggests, you need to be present, you need to be grounded, and you need to be paying attention. Otherwise, you'll miss these beautiful opportunities that are coming in. Now, there's something about the wallpaper there on the background. To me, that would indicate that this week we'll see you, rather than being a wallflower, watching, not interacting. In fact, yes, you'll be observing life, but you'll be more proactive. You'll be connecting with people. You'll be sharing the elements of yourself with them, rather than just sitting on the sidelines and not saying a thing. So with this being said, I feel as though it's talking about your heart chakra, your emotions, a lot of growth coming in for you this week. But you need to observe, you need to say yes, and you need to also bring yourself back into the present moment in order to make your week a fruitful one. So that's what I'm picking up for this week's energy forecast reading. I do hope that has aligned with you. Thank you for hearting, liking, commenting and sharing. If you've enjoyed what you've seen on here today and you would like a one-to-one private reading with myself or a 12-month recorded forecast reading with myself, you can head over to my website, www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, or you can find me on Facebook, Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium. In the meantime, come and join me every Monday at 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on Pulse Talk Radio with my radio show From Beyond with Glenn Boddice, and we talk about all things spiritual, paranormal and self-help. Take care, everyone. God bless and have a fantastic week.
Wow, it sounds like we're in for a fascinating week for us all this week, doesn't it? Sit back, buckle up and observe by the sounds of things, and obviously say yes to opportunities that are coming in. So wonderful. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this week's show. It's been full of very insightful information, and I hope you can take something from it and maybe adopt that information into your own life and then pass that baton of light on to others that you feel need to know more about this information. I really appreciate your interactions and listening to the show every week. And if you have any show suggestions, any ideas, or if you're wanting to share your experiences upon listening to the show, such as the sound healing that we've experienced today, then it'd be wonderful to hear from you. And you can get in touch by contacting me at www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com or send me an email at glennboddice@live.co.uk. It would be fantastic to hear from you and have that interaction with you. And of course, if you have any ideas or if you have any stories, encounters of the paranormal or self-help, spiritual development that you're wishing to share with the audience, then again, it'd be wonderful to hear that from you. And if you're not feeling confident enough to come on the show in person, but you're happy for me to read out your experience in the show, that would be fantastic to have that sort of information from you there. So please feel free to do get in touch. It'll be wonderful to hear from you. So I hope you're going to have a wonderful week ahead, whatever it is you're deciding to do. And obviously, once you've listened to the forecast reading in the show, that should give you more comfort, more confidence in your week as it unfolds for you. So in the meantime, I wish you a wonderful week, whatever it is you're doing, and I look forward to seeing you again the same place, same time next Monday at 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on pulsetalkradio.com with this show From Beyond with Glenn Boddice, Spiritual Medium. Take care. Goodbye for now. Thank you for listening to From Beyond.
For more information about what products and services Glenn provides, go to Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium